Is everything okay?
Mom?
The first question, which is for both of you. You Are Not My Mother is a very fresh take of horror genre. By being the psychological thriller and slow burn tempo with a story of family in it, we'd like to hear you telling the story in your own take for the audience.
So yeah, I think it's some people I think even don't call it a horror movie. Some people say it's like a psychological thriller, which is funny because I don't know. I think it's a horror movie, but yeah. So it's a kind of a coming of age story. It's about a teenage girl who is living with her mother and her grandmother, and her mother is kind of suffering with her mental health. She's kind of struggling at home with them, and then one day her mother goes missing, and then she returns a day later, and her mother's personality seems to become quite different and change. And it's set during the week of Halloween, which is a big holiday here in Ireland. So it's kind of has all the ambience of the Halloween holiday here in Ireland. So yeah, it's lots of thrills and excitement and horror and a bit of fun, I hope, as well.
Yeah, when I read the script, I immediately formed an attachment to not just the character, but the entire story that Kate had written, because it just merged together two things really beautifully. Folklore and mental health. But it was a beautiful read, and I found it deeply unsettling. I found it deeply moving as well. So I attached to it very quickly, but I kept it at a distance because I knew I still had a bit of work to do before getting it.
Why do you choose a family situation and twist it into a horror film?
Well, I think there's a line in the movie where one of the characters says that family is the scariest thing on the planet. Like, the relationship, no matter if you have a good relationship or a bad relationship, or a mother is something that we all have, whether we like it or not. And I think it's very universal. No matter where you're from or where you grew up or what your background is, I think everyone can understand that like family can be very difficult and can be a bit of a struggle sometimes. So I think to me it's a very universal thing to find horror in, but that my family will probably be annoyed if I said that.
What technique that you use to make scary moment? Jump scare, atmosphere, or body horror, or something else?
I did a lot of studying before we made the movie. I watch a lot of horror movies anyway, but I think I was like kind of watching with great detail how good jump scares are put together. Yeah, I think it takes a lot of testing out. We did a lot of prep for the movie where, scary scenes, we would test them out and film them. Actually, my girlfriend, she stood in for a lot of the scenes where I was testing jump scares and stuff like that at home because we were in lockdown because it was COVID. But yeah, you kind of have to test them out. I think sound is a big, that's probably your biggest ally when you're kind of creating any scary scenes. I think using silence and then how to bring in like little pieces of sound can create a really good jump scare. And then it kind of depends though. It's really hard to kind of pinpoint. It can literally be seconds of difference of like whether something is scary or not, I think sometimes. So it's like takes a lot of refining.
Are you awake?
How did you directing the actress on the possession scene?
Do you want to actually, Carolyn, do you want to answer this question?
You're talking about the dance scene, is that correct?
Dance with me, Sha. No, man, stop.
It was a lot of fun, Kate. What I remember reading it when I read it in the script, it was interesting. You know, she's a wonderful director because she knows what she wants, and gave me that space, you know, to be able to figure it all out. And then thankfully, so I had the permission to play around with it and go for it without giving too much away. And that was a joy.
I was like, okay, here's the track that you can dance to, and send me some videos, because at the time we couldn't really do in-person rehearsal very much because it was COVID. Carolyn hadn't sent me anything for a while, and I was like, okay, I'm getting a bit worried. I'm gonna email her, text her. She was like, yeah, I've been working on something. I haven't been able to record it because I'm just afraid my son is going to be too scared if he sees me doing it. So I've been kind of doing it in secret, and I was like, okay, well, that sounds good then. So then, yeah, I knew it was going to be okay.
Yeah, I've said it a couple of times. There was something in the house that night. There was something in the air, and it just felt really magic. Yeah, it was gorgeous. It was just such a great scene to shoot.
The dance scene with Carolyn in it, I think that's my ultimate favorite. It was, as Carolyn said, it was really fun to shoot. It was really exciting to shoot it. That's the scene. I've obviously seen the film played at a lot of film festivals and to a lot of audiences, and that's the scene I think is most fun to see an audience watch, because they react the most.
So we jump from the favorite scene to the hardest scene to shoot. Which one?
What bonfire? I'd say, Kate, was it?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I think the bonfire, the ending of the movie is set on Halloween night. Obviously, in Ireland, we have bonfires on Halloween night. Particularly hard to shoot because we had to shoot outside. The build was outside, so we had to light outside, and the wind was blowing. We had lots of things to shoot, lots of coverage, and Carolyn was in full monster makeup, and Hazel had a very emotional scene to shoot, and we were doing it under immense time pressure, so that was a tough one, but I actually really enjoyed that night, even though it was still very difficult to shoot. But yeah, that was probably the hardest.
Hey! Are you looking for me?
I'm just wondering that what was the main material that you used to create the idea of the story? Was your own past, your own memory, or something else? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I think it was influenced by my own experience growing up. The grandmother character in the movie is very much inspired by my grandmother. She was very witchy, I suppose. She kind of believed she was a witch, I think. So she was quite influential, and I lived with her when I was growing up for a lot of my life, so that was part of it. But yeah, it was kind of my own experience, my experience of, you know, friends of mine as well growing up. I think we lived in a place where we all had to be quite independent and look after ourselves sometimes, so, myself and my friends, so I think that was like a part of the inspiration. The history of Ireland and how women have been treated in Ireland in our history, and that was like a big inspiration for kind of the characters and the story as well.
You mentioned earlier that you watch a horror film a lot. I want to know that, can you tell us which horror film is the most influential for you to make this film?
We knew this film was always going to be very much from one person's point of view, so it's kind of Char's point of view the entire time. So I was looking at a film like Rosemary's Baby, which is very much you're in the perspective of the lead character for a lot of the movie, and you're kind of trapped in only seeing her perspective. So that was quite influential in the kind of style. Also, The Exorcist was quite influential, I think, in terms of the kind of mother-daughter relationship and feeling quite domestic in a house the entire time. But there were so many, like we watched, like, you know, there was a big watch list of movies to influence style and tone, and also even just for jump scares, you know, The Conjuring and all those kind of movies to watch those. So yeah, it was kind of a big long list, but those would probably be the two most important, I'd say.
In the film, we have seen some element about love story of the same-sex character. What do you want to deliver to the young generation of LGBTQ+ through the film?
So, you know, I think the kind of relationship between the girls, it wasn't meant to be when I talked to the actors when we were in prep for the film. Both of them, Hazel and Jordan, who play Char and Suzanne in the movie, both separately asked me about the sexuality of their characters. So I think it was on the page, even though I didn't really realize it. You know, as a queer person, it was important to kind of, I think it's important to populate your film with queer characters. I think the bond between two teenage girls who, you know, have a connection in that way is you know, stronger, I think, than just a friendship, maybe. So it was kind of, it just felt right for the characters to have that.
Did both of you have a good time making this film? Share us about it.
We had a horrible time. Obviously, we hate each other. No, we had such a good time. I think like the film was made on a very low budget. You know, we didn't really have any like fancy equipment or any kind of, you know, we didn't have a lot to work with. So it could have been a real struggle. It could have been very difficult, but I think the cast and crew we had were so enthusiastic and excited, and it was just a joy to go in every day and get to hang out with like really fun people who were just like really excited to make the movie. So I think, yeah, it could have been really hard, but I think I always went in every day feeling really excited and happy because so nice to be working with all the people we had on the film.
I got one last question. Let's move to the funny question for both of you. If you got a chance, like in the film, that you can change into somebody else, everybody else in the world, who would it be?
Oh my God. Someone for the day, who would it be? Probably some of the world leaders to change their minds about a few things that are going on in the world at the moment, just to figure out what's going on in their heads, just to figure out how do I understand them, and you know what I mean, and see what life is like from their point of view for a day. I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think I'd go with like, you know, Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or something, and then like donate all their money in one day. Something like that.
We're still trying to figure out what happened. When did you last hear from her?
She left to bring her to school.
Where did you go?
I can't tell you. Not yet.